Although he was stopped by low kicks early on in his career, Alex Perreira has been stopped by punches to the head only one time and by one man, and that man's name is Artur Kyshenko. To go through a brief chronology of Kyshenko's career, he debuted in 2004 as 16. In 2006, he was given an opportunity to take part in the prestigious K1 Max promotion. He dominated the Eastern European qualifying tournament, finishing Marius Bazinskas with low kicks in the final match. In the 2007 Max tournament, he took a major step up in class, first beating Mike Zambidis in the quarterfinal. In his next match, he fought Masato Kobayashi, who is regarded by some as the number one kickboxer in the world. He ended up losing the match by KO. Kyshenko would show much improvement though, returning the next year and making it to the final, where he would again face Masato, this time losing an overtime extension round. 2009 would not be a great year for Kyshenko, as he would lose to Andy Sower in the quarterfinal. In 2010, Kyshenko's form would slide further still, with him losing to Hinata Watanabe outside of K1, and the unfancied Muhammad Kamal in the round of 16 of the Max tournament. 2011 would be a better year for Kyshenko, as he picked up wins over Yodson Clive-Fairtex, Nicky Holsken and Andy Sauer. 2012 will be hit and miss. He would lose to Giorgio Petrosian, and with rumours that he was struggling greatly to make the 70 kg limit, he would make it to the final of the Max tournament, which now had a significantly depleted field. He would lose in the final to Martel Gronhardt, only receiving a fraction of his purse from the promoters. With K1 now in financial turmoil, Kyshenko would look to compete in other promotions. He would compete briefly in the Glory 77 kg division before finding a home of sorts in the Chinese Kunlun fight promotion. Kyshenko would compete at 80 kg in Kunlun, showing a new body type and reinventing his style. During this time, Kyshenko would get some of the best wins of his career, against Perreira and winning a rematch against Gronhardt. To get into the style that has been used by Kyshenko, there has been an evolution in his style from his K1 Max days to when he came into his prime, going on a big winning streak in the Kunlun promotion. Although there can't be a precise moment in time pinpointed when he suddenly changed his style, generally when fighting earlier in his career, he used less footwork, opting to stand his ground in exchanges and put a lot of emphasis on checking leg kicks. In the later phase of Kyshenko's career, he started to use extensive footwork, bouncing around between strikes and looking for an angle to attack. He would also use footwork to dodge attacks more frequently in the second part of his career, rather than blocking. The obvious disadvantage of the bouncing style of footwork that was used by Kyshenko more and more frequently as his career progressed is the issue of stamina. Kyshenko has fought 3 times in one night previously in his early career, where the more economical footwork style would be beneficial. In his later career, the most he fought is twice in one night, where he won both fights by KO, and occasionally he has fought 5 3-minute round bouts. Whilst the bouncing style of footwork is commonly associated with lowly respected styles in the full contact martial arts scene, such as Taekwondo and Karate point fighting, it has been used elsewhere in the kickboxing scene. Mike Zambidis used this style of movement extensively during his K1 Max career. Fang Bian has also used this footwork style extensively in kickboxing, most notably during his knockout win over Simon Marcus. In terms of international boxing, it is commonly seen in amateur boxing, although is less commonly seen in 12-round professional boxing. Muhammad Ali mixed the bouncing style with a crisscross dance style of footwork, especially earlier in his career when he was a smaller heavyweight. Muay Thai legend Samat Pakarun also used this bouncing style of footwork more extensively when he crossed over from Muay Thai into international boxing. In the recent past, Oscar De La Hoya used it to outbox Felix Trinidad for the first 9 rounds. Although he faded late, many felt that he did enough in the early rounds to win the decision. Sergio Martinez has also used it to become a dominant champion in his weight class and a top 3 pound-for-pound fighter.
Outside of Floyd Mayweather, whose stamina is incredible, Who else could even conceive of fighting in a style like this?
I don't even think Floyd Mayweather could fight a style like this.
This change in Kyshenko's movement style cannot be considered the sole reason for his improvement. You may also have noticed he developed a significantly more muscular frame as he moved into the higher weight classes. It should also be noted that bouncing is not something that is necessary for using effective movement, as many other high-level fighters pivot and use angles without bouncing. His upper body movement was more limited in the early part of his career, generally only using it to lean back on high kicks. His head movement was more frequent in the second half of his career, although it would be fair to say footwork, blocking and parries still made up the main part of his defense. In terms of push kicks, the front kick was a weapon for Kyshenko that he used in the early part of his career that is used less in the second half. Kyshenko regularly used knees in the early part of his career. Due to his habit of blocking and standing his ground, he would regularly make it to the clinch where he would use them. Although Kyshenko still used clinch knees in the second part of his career, he would also use them in a more dynamic way, often off one step. There are certain hallmarks of Kyshenko's style that are ever present. He always possessed a good left roundhouse kick and sweep with his left leg. Kyshenko has also always been an effective power roundhouse kicker with his right leg. He uses it to target the leg and is also effective at targeting the head. As a puncher, Kyshenko is generally an effective combination puncher as opposed to a single shot slugger. Aside from the standard combos, the double left hook is a combo Kyshenko makes use of that isn't in every fighter's arsenal. The left hook in general is Kyshenko's favourite punch, delivering it with venom to the body or the head. Kyshenko rarely mixes things up with spinning attacks. So what can you say, if anything, did Perreira learn from his technical knockout loss to Kyshenko? In my opinion, I think he learned that you can't always go straight for the head. Sometimes if a fighter's movement is making their head an elusive target, then you need to set things up with kicks first. This is something I think he put into practice against Adesanya, taking his legs out before finishing him off upstairs. In this way, I think the evolution of his style aligns more with a traditional Muay Mat stylist in Muay Thai. If you look at Anawat, for instance, he has a lot of KOs, but in many cases he set things up with kicks first.